So good.
All right, one last question, or not question, but one comment I want to bring up here. This is from Dale Denton. He said, to all competitors, crew, and content creators, thank you. It's been a true pleasure taking this ride with you all.
Cheers.
Thank you, Dale. We appreciate it. I think that's a good way to kind of transition and ask you guys, like, we're going to talk about Schmoedown for maybe one more show, might be two. I don't know. We have some plans, but what does all of this mean to you? And how does it feel that now that it's officially over, right? There's no more build up to Spectacular. There's no more match promos or posters or anything like that. What are you guys all feeling right now with the movie trivia Schmoedown officially over and in the past?
I'm thankful more than anything because I immediately just think back to what, like, Jake and I him bugging me to constantly watch this show so that way he had someone else to talk to about it. And then saying just immediately, like, if you watch it, then we can do a podcast about it and we'll go from there. And I'm like, all right, fine. And then it evolved to watching it. Then it evolved to us going to the Ward show. No, the Ward show.
I was there.
Yeah, I literally met you sitting right in front of me and never knew like it would evolve to something like this. I mean, Jake and I literally sitting at the table going, because Call to Action 1, we're like, we're going to beat them. You and I are going to make a show and we're going to beat them. And then it just evolved to...
I mean, it happened, right?
Show, then second...
Should I throw some final shade? It happened.
Throw some final
shade. At some point. I mean... and then...
God, you too.
And then it just... All of a sudden, one day, we're like... Jake's like, let's ask Jill to be on it. And then Jill pops up. And the next day, randomly, or not.
I swindled my way into convincing Molly to be a part of it.
He literally says to me,
we got her.
I'll never forget it.
I'll never forget when I texted Jill and Brian. I know exactly where I was. And I said, you guys, we just got fucking Molly Damon.
Well, it's funny because I don't remember that, but I remember you texting me on the side going, should I ask Molly? Should we ask Molly if she wants to join us? And I'm like, there's no
goddamn
way. And then I'm texting him back like, absolutely, you should definitely try to
do it so she can laugh in your face and be
then immediately she responds, no, I'm going to start my own thing.
Which is...
And then a week later, she's like, yeah, fuck this. I'll join you guys. And then it just exploded from here. And those are like the things that I just like, it blows my mind to where we started, at least Jake and I, just him trying to convince me to just watch this YouTube show. And then it just exploded to this Spectacular. The one that we all went to is probably one of my most favorite memories of all time. Being in the house with just this wild group of people, seeing the hundreds of people we talked to through quarantine. Just like, it's just so many good memories and things that I'm going to literally remember forever. Going to the hotel and just meeting people that we've talked to.
The Mod Squad.
Yeah, the Mod Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all of that. Things I will cherish with me forever. And it's just like, no, Rachel, I never learned to flip a coin, and it still haunts me to this day. But just, there's so many things that literally just came from starting watching a little YouTube movie trivia show that I will never, ever take for granted. And it's wild. It's absolutely wild.
Yeah, I think just the lifelong friends that so many people have made because of it, it's almost bizarre. Like the relationships that got started, friendships or otherwise, because of the Schmoedown. Like it's so crazy that so many people are going to be lifelong friends going forward because of it. Because I was trying to think of like my first Schmoedown. Brian can sleep
Ward.
now.
Get some sleep, Brian Ward.
Someone needs to make the video of Brian Ward like Luke fading into the force. He finally can rest now.
I want something more dramatic. I want Billy Butcherson dramatically falling into like, yeah, that's what I want. Good night, Billy, and just a long yawn and stretch and just
Yes.
passing out.
Oh my god. I think one of my first, if not my first Schmoedown memory was obviously Alex was in it before I was. And so when we went to LA for him to tape that 5-way that he was in, they were filming a spectacular that day.
Oh.
So I walk into the studio with Alex and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Everybody's partying. There's a ton of people here. It was in the old studio, the old studio. And like, I don't think I talked to very many people. I know I talked to a few people and everybody was super nice, but I was just like, what is this? Who are these people? Like, what are they doing? Like, I knew about the Schmoedown, but being there for the first time in studio, seeing a spectacular being filmed, like we were kind of like, do we stay for these other matches or do we just leave after the Star Wars match? But we stayed, and it was insane. And like everybody was so nice, and slowly, very slowly, I got to know a bunch of people in it and was like getting more and more into it myself. So it's just crazy to think of where I am now from where that was, because I was just kind of like there to help Alex study, and that was it.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Joe?
It kind of, I mean, piggybacking off what everybody said, you know, Sean and I started as fans. You know, this was before we even lived together. I walked in. He was living with his sister at the time. I walked into his room and he was watching this show and they're spinning a wheel. And I'm like, what are you watching? He's like, oh, you know, it's movie trivia. And I'm like, you don't watch movies. Like, why are you watching movie trivia? Like, what? And he was like, no, just watch it. It's like, you'll probably like it. It's like bar trivia. And I was like, okay. And then he played another match for me and there was a Disney wheel on the slice. And I was like, oh, they ask Disney questions. And then I was like, okay, I need to see another one. I need to see if there's another Disney slice. And then he introduced me to Inner Geekdom and then the Harry Potter stuff. And so I was like, okay. And then, you know, I started to really get into it. And then we went to the awards show where we sat with Jake and Gabby. We just happened to be sat at that same table together. God,
what an effing coincidence.
Right? And now here we are going to their wedding. Crazy. And, you know, and then
vice versa.
I know, right? And then we go to the awards show. And then after that, we get invited to a taping. And then after that, we're asked to come back to a taping. And then when we don't go to a taping, we get texts from people who we used to watch on our screens going, where the hell are you? And it's like, they actually want us to be there. We're not a nuisance. They actually like us, you know? I went to that and I think about it now and I don't know what I would have done during the pandemic if I didn't have you guys or the Schmoedown or like, cause this is what I did, you know, we would do the Zoom calls with everybody and we would sit down and watch Spectacular.
We were on so much.
We did
it
so
saved
much.
our sanity.
But like
It
literally we were on
did.
so much, but like
Yeah.
that's what we did. This was our social lives during the pandemic. And sometimes I sit down and I think, what would I have done?
It's scary to think about.
It's scary to think about. Like I hear the people who like literally like suffered massive depression during the pandemic. And I 100% probably would have been one of those people, just like, you know, sitting doing nothing and just being sad. But I was lucky enough to have this community and to have you guys and to have the View crew. And I'm just so thankful and blessed to have you guys in my life. You know, I don't want to get emotional. It's just so funny because Sean and I were literally writing guest lists for our wedding coming up. And it's kind of crazy to think that we have tables of Schmoedown people because they are our friends, you know.
Can you put our table in the shade?
Shade on shade.
Our wedding is going to be indoors. We're having an indoor wedding. I will say that much. But it's I mean, and I've literally made lifelong friends because of a dumb little movie trivia show. And it's going to be it still hasn't really registered to me really that Sean and I aren't going to be driving out to LA on Saturdays, to go to tapings. But we're still very much in contact with all of our friends over in LA in the Schmoedown crew. So those friendships ain't dying anytime soon, and I'm very, very blessed for that. So shout out to Christian and Mark for going to that one pizza place in Anaheim, which we did finally find, by the way, and making this crazy dumb little movie trivia show, because it meant a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah,
I don't want to cry.
Couple comments before I say something. Alan Smithy here. Also, it was cool to meet Molly during the Star Wars tourney and talk about Willow. There you go.
Yeah.
Con says one of my fondest and funniest memories is playing in the hotel lobby with Jill and Ellis calling that.
That was so much fun, Con. That was so fun.
And then Amaru, y'all are legit my favorite people. Thank you,
Thanks,
Rue.
Rue.
Thank you. No, look, it's no secret to a lot of people who watch this regular that I've been on Schmoedown from the very beginning. I'm an OG. I was watching Schmoes Know, excuse me, and AMC Movie Talk. They collided. Christian and Mark ended up being on Movie Talk quite a bit. They were still doing their stuff. And for people who may watch also, it's also how I met my guys over at Apocalypse, Jacob and Gio. We met in line in Los Angeles at an AMC Movie Talk taping. It's the strangest thing in the world.
That's cute.
We lived 20 minutes apart, and we met in Los Angeles at a taping for AMC Movie Talk.
The coincidence of that is mind.
That's crazy.
It's pretty insane. So, Schmoedown it hasn't given me this. It's given me everything in my podcast life. I honestly would not be doing any of this without it. It's very strange to say, but I would have never done something like Apocalypse, which had a different name at the time. I would have never done it like this. I would have never jumped on a show by myself for an hour and talked about whiskey and Star Wars. Like, I never would have done anything like that.
Your future job, literally.
Yeah, like it's a big deal. And I mean, I got a job kind of in the field a little bit too, so it's very cool. But it means a lot. It means a lot because it's impacted my life tremendously. It's crazy to think that I've been in Schmoedown longer than I've known Gabby, which is very strange to say. Gabby and I have been together for 6 years.
She was your first love.
Yeah,
Schmoedown.
and Schmoedown was
my first
Schmoedown was essentially 7, 8, 9, whichever the number is. It's crazy. It's given me a lot. I'm very thankful. I've had conversations with people that I never thought I'd had conversations with. Talking to people. Yeah, I watched Alex and Molly since the day they started in 2015, or 2014, whenever it was. Like,
I could go back and show you the day of him and I. Like, they're gonna be on our show. Oh my god! Like, it wasn't just me too.
It's been a very wild ride. Like, I consider myself extremely lucky because, I said I've talked to a lot of people. I was able to coincidentally meet people like Jill and Sean at a taping, randomly sitting at the tiniest table on planet Earth.
Just the four of us.
Just the four of us. And 2 years later, ended up being co-hosts on a show together. And then being able to have conversations about Star Wars with Alex and Molly, and the countless people that I've had conversations with, and everyone watching live now, and people watching in the past on shows. We've had over 100 views at one point. We had over 300 viewers at one point with one video. It's given me and us a lot, and I'm very thankful for it. It's all because of Christian and Mark and all the countless people that have put in effort throughout the years. Jill said it. It's very strange to think that it's over. We've been putting off the inevitable for the last couple months, obviously, but now it's like officially done. There's nothing to look forward to right now going forward for Schmoedown. It's very, very hard to think about. And of course, there's Twitter and all that stuff to talk to people still, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. So I'm gonna miss it. I'm really, really gonna miss it. So yeah, Vapion, Alex, and Molly are a big deal. Yeah,
Kind of a big deal.
yeah.
Well, I think
Sorry, go ahead. It just like to that. It's just I remember thinking like for Jake and I just being like, oh my god, we're gonna talk to you guys. They were at Jake's wedding. Like I remember.
Yeah, we were.
Just Alex had a great time.
Oh.
But it's little things. It's just little things that I think about that I'm just like, holy crap! Like that really happened. I think for me, Spectacular the most because it was the first. People were just flocking out of COVID, which Jill, it literally, when I think of COVID, I think of all of the Schmoedown stuff. Like it just
Spectacular was probably one of the biggest highlights, but from my end, and it's weird to say because I didn't get to experience it with you guys, but having you guys come to me for my wedding was very special.
Did you watch all of Happy Hour?
No, I haven't had the time. I was gone this weekend.
So
I watched Spectacular today. So
Sean, you would have been livid. Sean said that he at one point considered heavily proposing to her the Friday.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jake would have been
Johnny.
Jake would have been.
Can you imagine?
Johnny. But no, like seriously, I've talked to Gabby about this, and even some people who have asked like who you guys were and stuff, and the fact that all of you traveled to me is crazy because you two and PJ, you all traveled the farthest out of anybody we have at our wedding. You guys came the farthest.
Well, you're pretty neat, so
I'm very thankful for all of this because it's given me a lot. It has really given me a lot, and I'm very.
I love
very
free food and drinks.
So.
Jake.
You're welcome. You had plenty of it. So.
I love riding scoots in downtown.
Yeah, and pictures that I'm not in, like that whole weekend.
I will say one other thing about just the Schmoedown stuff, just movies in general. Like every time I watch a movie, my mind is going to go to trivia.
Oh yeah,
like that's going to live on forever. Like we were obsessed with Star Wars trivia before we knew about the Schmoedown. So like,
I mean, I still write trivia for the Patreon. Plug.
I was gonna say Patreon. We're gonna keep doing trivia, so that aspect of the Schmoedown will live on forever.
Yeah, for sure. I'll also bring this up because I think that we've created something here, especially on POV. Rachel had no idea what Schmoedown was until this all started.
Rachel is literally the OG watcher of a certain point of view.
Yeah.
She's number one, which is why she's the fifth part of this family.
Yeah.
She is number one.
She was here before Jill, Molly, everyone that you're seeing in the chat. Literally, like,
thank you, Rachel.
Numero uno. Jake and I couldn't have done things without her.
No,
truly,
and honestly, we've mentioned them a few times, but the View Crew, the few that are the View Crew, our Patreon members, our crew, you guys are just effing fantastic. We are so lucky to have you all jumping on calls, whether it be to hang out, trivia, watch along, whatever it is. There's tons of you in the chat right now, and I have tons watch on playback because of time, but you guys rock, man. Like, we are so lucky. We are absolutely so lucky.
Caught lightning in a bottle, and it's incredible to think about.
Once, but should have been twice. Just saying.
Not
give us one more award show.
Oh my god, we should have our own awards show and give each other awards.
Not
we
me
should
being super salty that there is an award show that I've been like thinking about it. Like they need to do one more.
Let's be honest. The Rundown Award should be called the Point of View Award. Let's be honest. Frank Janish, if you're out there.
They couldn't even finish the season. I mean, we ran them out of the way so hard.
Ran them out of town.
Yeah.